I really love the form factor of the Surface Go for traveling. When I travel, I used to travel a lot, I try to minimize the size and weight of everything that I carry. That's why I bought into the Olympus camera system back around 2013. In many ways, it was inferior to the full-frame professional digital camera equivalents of the time, but it was small, light, but still very capable. I could carry an entire system on my back. And over the last 7 years, I've taken some great shots with those cameras that I really love to see hanging on my walls. But when it comes to travel and photography workflow, I really want something that fits in with this light, small ethos. I was really happy to see the Surface Go released back in 2018. It was small and light, and it fit in my camera backpack perfectly. But unfortunately, it wasn't really powerful enough to do the job of running Adobe Lightroom very well. So fast forward here to 2020, and we have the Surface Go 2, now with an M3 processor option. The M3 processor is much faster and more capable than the Pentium processors that were in the original Surface Go, and the ones that are available in the lower spec models of the Surface Go 2. Like the previous model, the Surface Go 2 is available with LTE mobile broadband. But importantly, this new Go 2 includes eSIM and physical SIM capabilities. So that's great news for travelers. So, could I use the Surface Go 2 to edit my photos on the go? First off, it's important to point out that the Surface for Business version of the Go 2 that I have does not come with Windows 10 S mode. It comes with Windows 10 Pro out of the box, so there's no mucking around when you need to install apps like the Adobe Suite. I really wish Microsoft would drop this S mode. I get the concept, but the reality is that the Microsoft Store lacks too many apps, and S mode is just leaving Surface Go buyers confused. As I explained in my video on using Surface as a companion device, I personally prefer to have the same software that I have in my office on my mobile devices as well, without any of the limitations that come with mobile devices. I want to use the same workflows wherever I can. As a photographer, that means I want Adobe Lightroom and I want a file system. An iPad is simply not going to cut it. So I got the Surface Go 2 for Business with LTE. Again, this is the M3 model with 256 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM. Out of the box, I had a bunch of updates to do and so much software to install. And if your processor is a fairly basic one like this one, this is where you usually start to feel some pain. Fortunately, this Go 2 was relatively fast to set up, much faster than the previous models. Since it can run any software that you run on your PC, it can also run the Dropbox Sync client. When I take photos, I usually upload them straight into Dropbox using the Sync client. I can plug the camera in directly using a USB-C cable or the SD card directly with an adapter. I copy the files off of my camera and they'll upload to Dropbox as soon as they can in the background. Once those updates and installs were out of the way, I was ready to fire up Adobe Lightroom. It opened fast enough, and as I got into things, I found that it was quite smooth to use. Now I'm editing 20 megapixel RAW photos, and it kept up with cropping and applying adjustments impressively well. It's not blisteringly fast, but it is usable. So I tried to throw it a bit of a challenge. I'm a lover of pano shots. So I picked a couple of shots to stitch together using Lightroom's Pano tool. The preview was incredibly quick to load. These things can take ages sometimes. And once I'd set it up, the final processing was surprisingly fast too. It actually felt like it was faster than my Surface Pro 7. I had to take a moment to check that it wasn't. Exporting multiple photos all at once worked very well too. So I wanted to find out if the Surface Go 2 M3 model could be a handy photography companion device. And I'm surprised and excited to say that it can. I even used Adobe Premiere Rush to put together a few nice little video edits, and it worked impressively well. The question now for me is what to do with the Surface Pro X. Because at this moment, Adobe still have not released a version of Lightroom that works on the Pro X. And that's despite promising that they would nearly a year ago. I also can't run the Dropbox Sync client on the Pro X because it hasn't been released for Windows on ARM. So as much as I love it, I just can't edit photos on the Surface Pro X. Generally, I prefer the form factor and the bigger screen of the Pro X. But this little Surface Go 2 fits perfectly into my camera bag. So now I have some decisions to make. I'm really impressed with this Surface Go 2. Tell us what you think in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, remember to give us the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more about Surface. Now it's going too fast. Unbelievable. This is too flippin' slow. Why is this one too slow? The last one's too fast. Oh my goodness.